Right, so it's that time again where it's been a couple weeks since Spider-Man was released into Marvel's Avengers. I've played about with them, I've been doing some stuff on Twitch with them. By the way, most important thing to kind of get out of here, I'm still doing Thankmas streams over on Twitch. Go on over there, share them around, do all that lovely good stuff. We're still trying to raise £100 for the Thankmas campaign for New Start before the end of the month. Streams are running until the 24th of December. I reckoned I'm definitely not streaming on Christmas Day. No chance. Probably won't be streaming on Boxing Day either. But I figure after Christmas I can't really do a Thankmas stream anymore. The thing will be you'll still be able to donate after the 25th. You're still able to donate for like 6 months after the campaign is published anyway. But the actual streams where I'm going to be actively sending people over to Tiltify to donate will be running up until the 24th, up until Christmas Eve. Christmas Day, no streams. I think that's obvious why there would be no streams on Christmas Day. The 26th as well won't be doing any streams then because of Boxing Day. And there you go. But it's that time again. Got a new character in Marvel's Avengers. I'm gonna do the tier list. The tier list has been some changes. There's been some promotions, some demotions. Overall, I think you guys are gonna agree. I hope you guys agree with this. If you don't, put your placements of where you would put each character in the comments below. But this is my opinion. This is based on my play style and how I play the game and the characters that I play most compared to the characters that I play least. And there is a controversial one, but I feel like it's more of a controversial pick on the game's behalf than mine. But I'm going to start off with D tier. And the only character in the D tier at the moment is the only character that doesn't have a heal, and that is Kate Bishop. Kate Bishop is terrible at the moment. She's been terrible since she came into the game, and she's been terrible ever since. We've had 3 new characters, and none of them have reached the lows of Kate Bishop yet. Thank God. And hopefully no one does. And hopefully Kate Bishop can get a buff so that the D tier is no longer the only character that no one plays. I don't know anyone that will actively choose Kate Bishop over any other character. Maybe now her popularity is... Maybe now that she is, like, a known character because of the Hawkeye show, there may be some people from that are like, I really want to play as Kate Bishop, and this is the only game that allows me to do that. I don't care that she's crap. And there will be some people that make her work. Like, the thing that I keep hearing, and the example that I keep giving, is there is an exotic that you can get that gives her Jarvis barrier. But then again, there's an exotic on every character that gives every character Jarvis barrier. Every other character already has a heal, already has, like, defensive buffs, already has, like, stealth, already has stuff they can do to ensure, already has, like, some kind of utility in their base kit anyway, so that they don't need an exotic to make them usable. Yes, you can get exotics to make her work and to make her do things, but there's just none of her heroics really work. The animations are great. Like the animations on the Warp Arrow is great. Animations on her ultimate heroic, amazing. If you get it so that it does the ranged plasma blasts as well, that's great. But she just can't survive, and she doesn't do the damage to make her a glass cannon either. She's more of just a hindrance than anything, because she doesn't do anything necessarily special. And that's the thing that we've got to think about with these characters, especially the ones that are coming out after launch. And she was kind of just a character to put in because to give new players something to do. She wasn't really... I don't think she was put in with necessarily any thought behind her, and I would rather have seen them put a bit more, because they did put clearly some thought into her by giving her like the stolen aim tech that gives her the ability to teleport and stuff like that, but they didn't really put any real thought or any effort into, this is a new character, this is the first new character that people are going to get after the base 6, right? We need to make her different, stand out. We have to make her, like, we need to give people reason to play as Kate Bishop, and we need to give people reason to fall in love with Kate Bishop. This is before the character was popularized in the Hawkeye show. This is before the character appeared in really anything else. So we just knew Kate Bishop. Either you knew her because you read Hawkeye comics, or she was a brand new character for this game. And I don't feel like they did Kate Bishop the justice that they gave Kamala, in terms of both her being a playable character and writing wise in the story. I don't feel like she was done that well in the story. I don't feel like she was handled well as a playable character either. Both accounts was a massive letdown for me. C tier is the first tier that's going to get built out with a lot of characters. We have Iron Man, Kamala, and Spider-Man. The newest character is put in the C tier. Controversial. I don't know if it necessarily is controversial, because there's a big flaw to the character. Outside of him being PS4 exclusive, there is a big con to the character that I will get to in a minute, but I wanna explain why Iron Man and Kamala have dropped here. Iron Man, I've just not been playing as Iron Man as much as I would have. He was the first character I got to 140. I put him at number 2 when I did it all the way back. I was back in a different house. As before it was a tier list, it was just a ranking video. And that's like the most popular video on my channel at this point. So hopefully this video does as well as that did. But yeah, Iron Man, just when I use him, he doesn't have as much pizzazz as people higher up in the list. Like, he can do a lot of damage. He has the ability to do a lot of damage. The Hulkbuster slaps. But I just don't... He doesn't have the same, like, magic that a lot of other characters higher up in the list have. And I feel like that is because his animations kind of feel a bit out of date. He's, like, he does have that beam forward. His support heroic, I still have yet to figure out what it actually does, but it's not necessarily that useful. The Hulkbuster is the only thing that is useful, but even then, it's only really the rockets that you can do, and it doesn't last long enough, in my opinion. I wish there was some kind of buff to make it last long enough, or make it last a bit longer. I like that you can't get hit during it, like you don't do any damage during it, but it doesn't last long at all. We then have Kamala. Kamala, for me personally, I don't really like characters that are all about the healing. Kamala's heal is good. It's nice. It heals everyone. It moves, but that's the only thing she has. Her damage is kind of good. The damage is kind of good. She's a decent damage dealer. But again, she has the strike forward and, an ultimate that is more of a hindrance than a help. It just makes her a bigger target. It's not like the Hulkbuster where she's not invincible while she's in the embiggened form. She just does more damage, but she's a bigger target, and you're better off just using her intrinsic and getting the auto dodge and the extra damage from that, and the extra combos from her intrinsic, and using her ultimate, which will just basically, if you're gonna do the embiggen in a boss fight, like in a raid, or like in the new raid, or in the Adaptoid OLT, you're going to die. Basically, at that point, you can basically just kiss your run away. Then Spider-Man, newest character. I know a lot of people are probably going to be mad I put him in the C tier, but I can't justify putting him any higher because... Apologise about that. Because he's just not great. He's just not fun to play. It's really, annoying to do his big attack, which is the web repeater where he spins and fires the webs. His heroics aren't great, because his support is just Black Panther's support, but with a different skin over it. It does the exact same thing, but it's got a different skin over it. His assault is nice. It's especially nice when upgraded. His ultimate heroic is really disappointing. I wish it was a completely different animation. I wish it did something else. There are some upgrades, to give it the web gloves and web socks. I'm going to call them web socks. They're web boots, but I'll call them web socks because that's funnier. But there are some things, but that's kind of the thing that the character is based around, which is the heroics and also the webbing as well, the web status effect as well. The web status effect doesn't work on bosses, so if you're going to take him into an endgame piece of content, like a raid, OLT, the Monica villain sector, any future villain sector that comes out, I initially thought that was a bug, that the webbing not working on bosses was a bug. A dev Q&A basically confirmed that was the intention all along. The intention was for webbing not to work on bosses. I understand that, yes, that would have been broken, but without that, Spider-Man is just useless. He is a massive hindrance in boss fights, and that needs to be fixed, or that needs to be changed so that webbing works. It needs to be fixed or changed so that webbing works in a boss fight. It just needs to be, because without that, he's not great. If he did have webbing that worked in bosses, or worked in the boss fights, then he could go up to A, maybe even S tier. But at the moment, C tier, because the main thing that he does, he's useless at. The main thing he does, he's useless at. B tier, this is characters that are usable, they're useful, they're not the greatest of the great, but they're also not the worst of the worst. Fairly middle ground, as a B tier should be. We've got Hulk. Hulk is a big giant target. That's kind of the worst thing about Hulk. His ranged is also not great, so he's not great for the Monica boss fight. His damage is amazing. His damage is immense. His healing is great, so he can be really defensive, but there's just no real place for that tank role at the moment in the game. Because even in the raid, even in the OLT, there's no real play. It's more of a damage check, because the longer you survive in the raid or in the OLT, the harder it gets. So the Hulk being there, being your damage sponge, kind of will just make the experience less fun, to be honest, because you've just got all of these attacks being thrown at you so much that it just becomes unbearable. Like, if you spend longer than 30 minutes fighting the Super Adaptoid, it's going to be unbearable. It's an unbearable fight. It's so bad. And, like, the one-hit kill moves, it doesn't matter how much damage Hulk has at one-hit kill move. He's just... He's gonna die. It doesn't matter how much defense he has. He's going to die. He also has the weird thing with if you charge up his light attack to do the grab. That doesn't work on bosses, and it doesn't work on larger enemies like Exos and Dreadnoughts either. So you've got that weird situation where you're trying to do it. Spider-Man has this as well when you charge up his heavy. You'll be trying to grab something, or you will accidentally think, oh, with every other character, when you charge the light attack down, it does a harder attack, or it does like an attack that hits for multiple hits. With Hulk, it's the grab. So you'll be trying to do, so you'll get confused. You'll hold down the square button, or whatever button it is to do a light attack, or whatever console you play Avengers on. You'll try and grab an enemy. Instead of grabbing him, you just do this animation in front of him to grab him, but you don't actually grab him. That's annoying, and it basically forces you to just do heavy attacks. And the heavy attack for Hulk, the actual animation for it is really tedious. And it doesn't feel fun, because he doesn't actually hit the enemy, he just hits the ground. Which is, it's not satisfying to play, just to have, like, Hulk hit the ground instead of the enemies. It's not satisfying. We then move on to Black Panther. Black Panther, same deal as Hulk and Spider-Man. His pounce. The attack you use when you hold triangle on a PlayStation controller doesn't work on bosses, so it makes him useless. It doesn't, because the amount of damage he does, his heal, his support, heroic, his healing just in general, and his ultimate make up for the lack of pounce in a boss fight, because there's so much damage coming out from Black Panther that you don't need that extra bit from the pounce, because it doesn't do that much anyway. It's good for taking out like the really, like, it's good for taking out annoying enemies like the small grunts, and it's good for doing a burst of damage to Exos and Dreadnoughts, but it like safe damage as well, where you can't get hit. But it wouldn't be useful with a boss fight. It wouldn't. And it wouldn't be fun for the other players as well, because they can't do anything while you have the boss pounced. So it would cheese some bosses. Anyway, if you're playing with a whole team of Black Panthers, you just imagine that if you could pounce the thingamajig, if you could pounce the Super Adaptoid and just, you know, spend that whole fight just like sitting watching a Black Panther pounce the Super Adaptoid, like for like, it would probably take a solid 5 hours to do enough damage to get him down with that. But, you know, it would be an easy 5 hours. It would be an easy run, an easy exotic. It would just be a long exotic, a boring, tedious exotic. We then have Black Widow. Black Widow is a weird one for me, because much like the lower tier on the list, and why she's like at the lowest point of the 3 and B tier, she doesn't do anything special, but she also doesn't do anything necessarily terrible either. She does have shock, which is great. The only other character that has that is Thor, who I'll get to later. But yeah, she can pack out a lot of damage very quickly. Stealth is very good, very useful still, and there's still no other character that can do it, which is really fun that she's got this thing that she can do that's unique to her, that works in a boss fight as well. You know, there's no other... most of the other characters, their unique thing doesn't work in a boss fight. Like webs, pounce, grabs, you know. But her thing that's unique to her, the stealth, works in a boss fight. It's amazing. You know, maybe she doesn't have the flashiest of skills, she doesn't have the highest of damage or the biggest heals, but she does everything you would expect Black Widow to do, and she does it well. She does it really well. It's just the limitations of a character like Black Widow when she's surrounded by characters like Hulk, characters like Thor, characters like Captain America, characters that are canonically more powerful than her and stronger than her in like a lore and canon perspective. But for being a playable video game version of Black Widow, this game gets it right. This game gets it bang on. It's just a shame that it's the limitations of being the character that she is and who the rest of the roster are, that, you know, she is where she is. She's just in the middle, because the characters that are lower should have been done better, and like characters like Iron Man, like Spider-Man, shouldn't be in the C tier, but they're there because the developers didn't know what they were doing with those characters and didn't make them fun and didn't make them like the characters from the comics or from the movies. We then have Captain America, who in the A tier, the only character in the A tier, so you can probably guess who's in my S tier. Cap. What can I say about Cap? He does everything he says on the tin. He's a guy that's stronger than the average guy, and he's got a shield, which is better than the average shield. You know, I cannot say anymore. He just works. He's the old reliable. The only problem with him is traversal, and it's not even that big of a problem. It's not a big deal. Not a lot of the like, you can have traversal like Cap, which is slow, but it's not going to break the environment. Or you got traversal like Spider-Man, which is fast, but if you're trying to do it indoors, good luck. You know, I'd rather have the old reliable that's just feet on the ground, running, than be having to web swing in a hive facility. You know, it's not great, is it? But Cap works like Cap should work. He feels like Captain America, ripped from a comic book page, ripped from the movies. You know, he just is the embodiment of what he should be. This is how you would expect a Captain America game to be played. It's like the developers were like, right, we'll make Cap first and we'll build everyone else from that model. Because you can feel like every character is like the next evolutionary step from Captain America. But Cap just does what he does so well that, and yes, there is nothing really that unique about him. He doesn't really have anything that unique, and yes, there's not really much use for a tank in this game yet. But, my god, when he works like a dream. And there is nothing to his character that doesn't work in bosses. There's nothing that doesn't work in any other part of the game. There's nothing that he can't use against a certain type of enemy. There's nothing that, like, fucks up with the environment in any way. Like, everything feels so... He is the most clean feeling and playing character in the game. He's the game runs at its smoothest when you're playing as Captain America, and when you're playing as Captain America in this game, it feels right. That being said, there's two characters that are subjectively and objectively better than him. The first one is Thor. The S tier belongs to Thor and Hawkeye. Obviously it does. If you played this game, if you played as Thor for 5 seconds, you will know what I mean. The moment when you're allowed to play as Thor in the story, the fact that Thor is the first character you play as in the story, it's like that will either make you fall in love with the game or make you decide this isn't for me. And that's the greatest thing, that Thor is the character to do that. But also, he's just darn good. He just is. He does so much damage. He's one of the only characters whose melee works as well as his ranged. His animations are so beautiful. I mean, like, just Thor. There you go. Imagine Thor in a video game. Imagine Thor in a decent video game, and this is it. Really. This is exactly what you would expect from Thor. Like, the amount of shock going off is unreal. The amount of, like, lightning going off everywhere is unreal. The amount of damage he can do. Just everything about Thor is superb. Excellent. So good. And he feels fun to play. That's the most important thing. He is so fun to play. But yeah, S tier. The current best character in the game, in my opinion, is Hawkeye. Hawkeye's amazing. And I don't know why. He's like the only character here who goes against the rule that I said with Black Widow. Like, the rule that I had with Black Widow, or the thing that I said with Black Widow, was she's limited by being Black Widow in a game surrounded by Hulk, Thor, Captain America, and characters who should be more powerful than her. Hawkeye is the same. Hawkeye should be limited by being Hawkeye. Hawkeye should be limited by sharing a game with characters like Thor, characters like Hulk, characters that are canonically more powerful than him. But somehow Crystal Dynamics did it. Somehow they managed to get Hawkeye to be the flashiest, the most visually interesting, and the best character in the game. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. And it's all because of Bag of Tricks. It's all because of Bag of Tricks. If he didn't have Bag of Tricks on his kit, he would be in, like, he'd be in probably A or B tier. Because he still has the heal, and he still has the Rain of Arrows as well. But Bag of Tricks does so well, and the fact that there's an exotic that gives you more arrows on that, man, just you know, sign a waiver saying you are the meta forever, you know, because I don't see any character boosting above that anytime soon. I don't think She-Hulk will. Spider-Man definitely didn't, you know, Black Panther didn't. I don't see She-Hulk doing it. Maybe Winter Soldier might. I can see them giving Winter Soldier some really crazy attacks, some really crazy things that he can do. He might be Hawkeye Plus. He's either going to be Hawkeye Plus or Hawkeye Light. There's no way about it. She-Hulk should be better, but I don't think she will be. I don't know. We've got to wait until they come out. We've got to wait until they come out with more characters. And I'll probably do the next video like this when She-Hulk's out, when I've played with her a bit. And I have no idea when that will be, because there's no roadmap until January. But my God, this is going to be the last Marvel's Avengers video for a while. I'm taking a break from the game until there's more content. I wasn't able to play the raid, but from what I've heard, we should probably stay away from the raid for a while, which is a shame, because whenever there's a big new piece of content like that, you want to play it with your mates, you want to play it first day, but unfortunately I don't have any mates that play this, that play Marvel's Avengers, or like regularly, or enough to be able to run the raid, and B, there's not enough people that come to my streams that are interested in Marvel's Avengers. I don't know why that is. As a Marvel's Avengers content creator, you would think that the people watching your streams and the people that subscribe to your YouTube channel would be interested in the game that you play most often. But who knows? Who knows, really? But yeah, come to the Twitch streams. We're doing a Crash Bandicoot marathon, all in aid of New Start. All for charity. We're doing it for a really good cause. We want as many people coming to the streams as possible. If you can, get your asses over there. We'll see you guys there. And if you guys agree or disagree with my rankings, let me know in the comments below. Let me know where you would have put these characters as well. Not just, oh, I agree and you're wrong, you're stupid, blah. Just, you know, engage in conversation. Have, you know, get your opinion across in a respectful way, in a nice way. Start a back and forth with me about this. Don't just say Captain America best in the game, or Kamala Khan should be in S tier, definitely 100%. You know, Kate Bishop for life, and you know all that jazz. But you know, engage in conversation. Why do you think Kate Bishop is the best in the game? And I will educate you on why you're wrong. You know? See you guys in the next video. Peace.